Hello, and welcome back to the Single Society podcast. My name is Jo, and I'm going to be hosting this conversation around how we reframe being single in a much more positive way, looking at it through the fresh lens that it really deserves. Now, if you're not already following along or subscribed to this podcast, I would absolutely love it if you could do that now. It really helps me out, but it also, much more importantly, means we can grow this community of people who are wanting to shift the conversation about being single and look at it in a fresh, positive way, the way really it should always have been looked at. Now, today I am going to be thinking about Bonfires Night and how we celebrate Bonfire Night if you are single. Now, I know that some of you will get really into Bonfires Night, and for others, it maybe won't be the biggest celebration. But I think that any points in the year where we have celebrations, big gatherings, it can make us a little bit more aware if we are by ourselves. Now, obviously, being single does not mean you are by yourself. You've got friends, you've got family, you might have colleagues, you've got a web of connections around you. And I think that that's one of the things that we need to unpick, is this idea that having a romantic partner is what defines you as alone or not alone. That is obviously just complete nonsense. There's lots of different ways that you can form meaningful relationships with people. And actually, some of the most powerful and fulfilling connections you have are going to be with your friends and family. And that hopefully remains true whether you're in a relationship or whether you're not. But it is still true to say that when there are big celebrations, particularly if you're in a situation where a lot of people around you are in that romantic relationship or they're married or whatever that might look like, it encourages us to reflect a little bit more. And it might also be a period of time when we get asked more questions about our dating life, whether we're choosing to stay single, all that kind of thing. So I wanted to just take a moment to pause and reflect. Some of you may have seen the film The Holidate. Now, it's this very silly rom-com, but do you know what? It is really good fun. It's very well done. And this isn't a spoiler if you haven't seen it, because this is in the first kind of 15-20 minutes of the film, probably earlier than that, to be honest. This is just kind of like the premise of the film that I'm going to give you, so don't worry, I will be careful not to allow any spoilers through. But essentially, the premise of the film The Holidate is that two single people decide that they will be each other's dates for all of the big celebrations throughout the year. So yeah, I suppose Christmas is the really big one, New Year's, Halloween, Easter, all throughout the year they are each other's date. And it basically means that they don't have this pressure of going to something by themselves. Now, obviously, in an ideal world, there would be no pressure, there would be no problem with that. But I think that it's very natural, it is very human to want to sort of conform and fit in easily with the group that we're around. And so they basically are each other's date at all these different celebrations. And one of the things that really struck me when I was watching this, and it's a very funny film, is that they say it's the sneaky little celebrations that kind of get you. I think that people kind of know that Christmas can throw up those questions, that New Year's might throw up those questions. But around Easter, for example, they're like, it doesn't seem like the biggest one, but actually it can kind of get you, and it can kind of make you feel like, oh, am I fitting in with those around me? So Bonfires Night is another one where if you're going to, I don't know, a firework display, if you're going to see a bonfire being lit and you're going with a bunch of couples, that's fine. Embrace it, enjoy. And I think that the thing I really want to focus on in today's episode is that when you're single, you get to choose. Now, that can be opting out entirely if you want to. If Bonfires Night isn't a particularly big thing for you, stay in, have a cozy night, get into your PJs, watch your favourite film. There is no right or wrong. But also, never assume that you can't do something or that you shouldn't do something just because you might show up differently. And actually, I think that doing things with friends and family is great, but also by yourself and taking yourself out on a date is really valuable. Now, I have a whole other episode exploring different ideas for solo dates, and if you haven't listened to that one yet, I would really encourage you to, because I know that the idea of showing up to something completely by yourself can be quite daunting. So in that episode on solo dates, I've got lots of tips and ideas, suggestions of how you can make that easier and more enjoyable for yourself. But I think that this idea that you can do things independently is a brilliant one. So if you decide that you do want to celebrate Bonfires Night, that that's a fun thing for you, maybe you have fond memories of it from your childhood, think about how you want to do it in a way that feels aligned for you. Now that might be, as I say, going back, thinking, what did I love as a kid? So for me, for example, when we did Bonfires Night was always sort of fireworks and things as well. And this is such a specific memory, but we would always have like mugs, not bowls, but like mugs of tomato soup. And we would have sausages that we'd like heat in the fire. And like, it's just, I don't know, it's just nice. It's just really good food. It's a happy childhood memory. And I love those things. To me, that kind of is Bonfires Night. And I think the smell of them as well, it's a really kind of vivid memory. You've got like the big lights of the fireworks, and you're cold, but you've got this really hot food. It's great. And then equally, maybe you didn't particularly celebrate Bonfires Night as a child. If you've moved to the UK and have recently discovered Bonfires Night, I'm not gonna lie, it's a weird tradition. The history of it is kind of weird. I'm gonna hold my hands up and admit that. So you're probably a bit like, what on earth is this? But you might have seen representations of things in film and TV shows. Magpie ideas from those. You get to sit down and think, what do I want? What do I want to do? What do I want this celebration to mean to me? And then you can either, get your friends and family together and do things with them, or organize something through work, or you can 100% show up and do something yourself. There are loads of things that take place in local communities around Bonfires Night. So there's often, bonfires being organized, firework displays, loads of different things. Have a look. Just Google it. Google it and you will find things. Type in Bonfire Night and the name of your local area and just go enjoy it. And maybe you only go for half an hour. You just kind of check it out, see what the vibe is like. But never ever think that because you are currently single or in the early stages of dating or whatever it might be for you, that you have to opt out. The opposite is true. You have the most freedom and the most flexibility that you will ever have. So take charge of that for yourself and have the most amazing Bonfires Night. I really hope that you found this helpful. As we go more into the different seasonal celebrations like Christmas coming up, I'm going to be giving more specific tips specifically for those holidays. So I cannot wait to see you in future episodes. Bye for now.